Jimmy Shaka here again, and welcome back. Today we are going to talk about how to become the root user and be able to run commands as the root. Okay. The root is your super user. With the root privilege, you can pretty much run any command at the terminal, and you can install programs. You can delete files. You can create users, user groups, pretty much anything that you can do in the system as the root user. You are able to do pretty much anything. You are the administrator of the entire system, if I can say. So first of all, you have to be careful, right? As when you are at the root, you have to be careful. And this is being at the root is something that you don't want to be using every day to run your daily tasks, because when you do that, you potentially could run commands that break down your systems, because you do have pretty much the highest level of privilege as a user when you are the root user. So what you want to do is you want to create a different user. Say, for instance, in this case, for me, I have Cloud DevOps as a separate user that I use to administer different tasks that do not require to be a root user. And every now and then when I need to become a root user, that's when I will only become a root user in order to run that particular command. But day-to-day tasks, you want to avoid the running command as a root user. Okay, so now let's see, how do you become the root user at the command line terminal? Okay, the first way you do that is run the command sudo space su, and sudo here stands for super user do, and this is in Ubuntu, of course, and in CentOS it's wheel, WHEEL, and SU here stands for separate user, and enter. When you do that, it's going to ask you for the password, and this is the password of the current user, Cloud DevOps, who's trying to become the root user. And Cloud DevOps should be part of the root user group in order to be permitted to become a user, in order to be permitted to become a root user. If he's not part of the root group, in this case, he will be denied access to the root privilege kind of level. Okay. All right, enter. In this case, he's permitted to run as root because he's part of the group. And there you go. Now he becomes Cloud DevOps user. Since he's already part of the root group, he's now becoming, he's about to run commands at this point as a root user. Okay, he can create, delete, add users, whatever, user groups, as he wishes. Okay, let's go ahead and see. Let's create for instance, a new group. Group add, say, my admin. Okay, that's a new group we just added. Let's verify the location of this. It should be in /etc/group. So cat to read the file etc. Tab for auto completion, and then group. Okay, as you can see here, we have that new group. We just added my admin. Okay, of course we can go ahead and delete it because we don't need it. Group, instead of add, del, delete. And just like that, we just deleted the group. Let's verify that it's gone. There we go. As you can see, we no longer have my admin as the group. Okay, and let's go ahead and exit. And just like that, we exited the root user account, and now we are back to the ordinary user level of Cloud DevOps. Okay, we are down to the back to the original Cloud DevOps regular user. Okay, and so that's the first way. So like just to review, this is how you run the command to become the root. The first way, sudo su, sudo space su. Okay, and the second way is you want to run it like this: sudo space su space minus. And when you do that, it should be asking you, of course, for the password. In this case, it did not ask us for the password because we literally just finished becoming a root user right above. But to reset the credentials, the way this works is once you enter the root user privilege level, your credentials get cached for about 5 minutes, and the next time you run the command sudo su, you don't have to re-enter your password again. So in order to force this to ask us for the credentials again, the next time we log in, we have to do this sudo -k, and that command sudo -k is going to clear the cache so that the credentials we entered earlier are removed. So the next time we run the sudo command, it's going to ask us for it's going to force us to enter that root password in order to get to the root privilege level. Okay, let's try to run the command again. Sudo su space. Again, this is the second way to become a root user, and it's asking us for that password. Okay, enter, and notice that this time we are, of course, the root user, but do notice that there's a difference between this and, let me scroll back up here to show you, and this. See that? Root at Ubuntu 20 whatever /home /cloud DevOps whatever. This will enter the root user privilege level as the Cloud DevOps user, right? As you can see here, that was the first way we did, right? Sudo space su. But the second way, which is sudo space su space minus, when you enter the root privilege level, you see, this is different, but it's still the root user. But the only difference here is that in this instance, the second way, we are literally logged in as a root user, as if we were, as if we started a totally different shell for just root. Okay, as for instance, pwd, if you check that, you can see that we are logged in as a root user within a totally different shell, which is different from what we had earlier here. Earlier, we were logged in as a Cloud DevOps as a root privilege user, super user, but with the credentials of Cloud DevOps. But down here, we logged in as a regular root user. Okay, so that's the second way. And the third way, so let's exit out of here. The third way, let me get rid of the credentials from the cache, so that next time we enter the sudo command, it prompts us to enter the password. Okay, so the command for that is sudo -k to clear your sudo credentials from the cache. If we did not do that, if we did not do this, next time we ran the command sudo, it was automatically going to let us through, because it would have cached the password that we entered earlier. Okay, so the third way will be to temporarily become sudo super user root, and the way you do that is run the command sudo and put this in the front of any command that you want to run as the root. Okay, for instance, let's say we are, of course, as you can see here, we are the cloud DevOps user. Okay, cloud DevOps user, or the regular ordinary user, but this time we want to add, let's say we want to add a new group, for instance, right? What we can do, instead of becoming the root first before we can add that group, we can go ahead and assume the root user or privilege, but without necessarily going into the steps of becoming the root user. Okay, the way you do that is you run the command sudo here, and then say group add my admin 2. We are adding this new group named my admin 2 to the list of groups that are on this system, and it's prompting us for the password. And just like that, that group has been created. And notice that we are still the cloud DevOps user. Okay, to check that group that's been created, we can go into we can use command cat etc tab and directory group, and like that, just like that, you can see that our group has been listed among the list of available groups. Okay, at the very bottom, you see that it's right there. And if we do not delete our sudo credentials from the cache, we can go ahead and delete this group, right? But let me force this to ask us for the password again, and I'm gonna go ahead and delete my sudo credentials from the cache by running the command sudo -k. And let's go ahead and get rid of this group we just added here. Okay, I don't want to keep this, so sudo group delete my admin 2. Again, it's asking for the password, and just like that, we just deleted the group. And as a matter of fact, we can check and verify that it's been deleted, and as you can see, it's no longer there. All right, and that's pretty much how you run commands as a sudo super user as the root. The first way is with sudo space su. In this instance, you become super user, the root, but you retain your local user here. You can see the directory here, pwd. This is your the current user directory, cloud DevOps. So that was the first way. Or we can do the sudo su space minus. With this, you can see that it's totally different from what we had up here. Okay, pwd. You can see that the directory here is /root. It's a new user as the root, the actual root user. Okay, in a totally different shell. All right, and then the third was running the command here as a regular user, just temporarily running the sudo command as a super user without necessarily becoming the super user. Okay, and okay, delete let's say we wanted to add. In that case, it's just been added, and we can check and see that the group has been added. There we go, guys. That's pretty much it, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Okay.